What's new, crew? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Cassandra, and it is that time where we sit down, pop a squat, grab a drink, a little snack, and we talk about the monthly meal plan. If you are new here, we are a family of 6. All of my kids are 8 and under. We homestead, so we try to grow as many of our own vegetables right now as possible. We have chickens, so we get our eggs here. We also will hunt and fish for pretty much most of our meats, and anything that we don't hunt or fish for we will buy locally from a farmer. So our freezers right now are full of salmon, trout, some panfish, pork, and beef. We have a little bit of venison left over. It being the time of year it is, I try very hard to eat mostly out of our freezers and fresh out of the gardens. We also put in a big permaculture orchard, so we have some fruit starting to come in here on the property now, which is really exciting. But that's pretty much how we tend to eat. So I made my meal plans based off of what I mostly have in the freezers, what's coming fresh out of the garden this time of year. So let's go ahead and hop in. We are also starting birthday season in our house. We have 4 kids. All of our kids have birthdays between September and January. So it's very busy this time of year. We're also heading into back to school, obviously, and this is our busiest time of year. I think that's true with most families, but how we do birthdays in our house is we will let that child pick dinner that day, and usually they end up picking some sort of like fast food restaurant because we don't really do those things regularly. So usually it ends up being like a Happy Meal or like a Taco Bell drive-thru or something like that, just because we don't really let them have those things on a regular basis. So it's definitely a treat for them. So this month we're starting off my second daughter, Lakin. It is her birthday in September, and I will ask her when it gets closer to her birthday what she wants, because her birthday is towards the end of the month. So when she decides what she wants, we will go ahead and provide that for her birthday dinner. But that is meal number 1. Getting into this month, September, is when I start switching over into a lot more of our fall things. We're gonna do a lot more crock pot meals, a lot more soups. Typically from this time of year through like March maybe, I will do soups about once a week. It doesn't always happen like that, but it's average. I like soups because they're quick, they're easy, they're healthy, they make lots of leftovers, and I like having a nice big thing of soup in the refrigerator through this time of year. You can heat it up as a side. It's easy lunches. I can throw it in thermoses for my husband. My husband is a blue-collar worker. A lot of times in the winter he is not fortunate enough to work somewhere with heat. He is outside, so for him to have like a hot thing of soup or stew throughout the winter while he's working is really nice. So I do that about once a week, and then we'll just eat off of that big pot of soup. Once it gets to like the 4th or 5th day of that big old pot of soup, I will put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it, and then I can pull it out later if we need it, if we're sick, if I need a convenience meal or something like that. So I love big pots of soup. So that being said, we're gonna do a veggie and beef noodle soup. I tend to throw a lot of noodles in soups just because that's what my husband prefers and that's what my kids prefer. I would love just a straight vegetable soup with no protein. I think that would be delicious, but I don't think that'd go over well with everybody else. So I like to try to switch things in, but we're gonna do whatever's coming fresh out of the garden, a little bit of beef tips with some beef stock, and it's gonna be delicious. We're also gonna do beefy burrito melts. I like to do a lot of our ground beef that we have in bulk in the freezer with a little bit of rice, a little bit of cheese, maybe some chili powder, some cayenne pepper, or some Cajun seasoning, something like that, and wrap it in a tortilla. We'll fry it in the frying pan, and it makes these really beautiful, really delicious burritos. And with that you could also add beans if you wanted to, but any leftovers with that can freeze really well. And we are heading into school season, and those make really good things for lunch boxes. I will just throw them in the lunchbox frozen, and by lunchtime they are thawed, or I can heat them up and put them in a thermos or something, and the kids can have them hot. We're gonna do a cowboy cornbread casserole. This is a new one for me, but I was looking through my pantry trying to figure out what I had, trying to eat out of my pantry stuff, and I have some cornbread mix I've had for a while, haven't used, so that's a recipe that I found to use up some of that cornbread. We're also gonna do a cheesy crescent roll chicken thing. I found it on Pinterest. It looked really good and really easy. I wanted to have a handful of meals for myself that were going to be kind of brainless and very easy. If you have been following me this summer, you know that my husband has been traveling on the road for work from pretty much since May all the way now to August. He hasn't really been home much, a couple days here, a couple days there, but He has been gone. He was working out of state for a while, and I have learned now to have planned some easy convenience meals is really nice. So this is one of them. I think I'm just gonna buy pre-made crescent dough, which I have not done in years, but I think I'm gonna do that. Just throw it in the fridge for a day where I really need something easy. We are also gonna be doing sliders. That's something my kids really like. Once again, leftovers are great for lunch boxes. We're also gonna be doing Spanish rice. I will link down below a video. I think I have a short on how I make my Spanish rice. It is the one recipe I consistently get asked the most on how I make it. It is so easy, so budget friendly. I grew up definitely below the poverty line, and this is something that we made in our household to basically be able to stretch the week. And my parent would make a huge batch of this, and we would eat off of it for like a week, maybe even a week and a half, because it was so budget friendly and that's really all we could afford. But it's very delicious. It is one of those budget meals that I still make to this day. All of my kids love it. We typically will pair it with chips or something. I like to put green beans in mine or sauerkraut in mine. So there are different additives you can do. A dollop of sour cream, it's delicious. You can also use it just as a side dish for any type of like Mexican meal, tacos or something. It's really great. But we are going to be doing that. We're going to be doing some sort of chicken wraps. My whole household loves chicken wraps, and we still have some good produce coming up. Garden, tomatoes, cucumbers, things like that. The lettuce is done for the season, but we should be getting more spinach in the next couple of weeks or so, as that second batch of spinach starts coming out of the garden, so that'll be good for that. We're also going to be doing chicken thighs in a cheddar orzo. Family discovered orzo a couple of months ago, and we all really like it. So we've been kind of experimenting more with orzo and figuring out more recipes for it. So this is something that I wanted to try. Of course, we've got to do a pot pie heading into fall. I will save this for that first really cool day, or maybe a rainy day. I'll make a really nice pot pie. This might actually be something that I double my recipe for and put a second one in the freezer. That way, if a day comes up where my husband is going to be out of town, or he has to go back on the road for a day or two, it'll be something really nice, because if my husband's gone, a pot pie can easily last me and my 4 kids probably 2 dinners. So it'll be really nice to have. I'm just trying to plan ahead just a little bit for those really busy after school chaos kind of nights. So it's better to be prepared, and that's my thought. If I can have something homemade in the freezer, kind of put away for those days where I really need it, I'll be very happy with that. That way I'm not tempted to pour bowls of cereal or something silly like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. We do that every once in a while. The kids had cereal for breakfast this morning, but if I can avoid that, or running through a drive-through or something like that, I want to avoid it as much as I can. So there's that. We're going to do stuffed shells. This is a meal my family absolutely adores, so we're going to do that. We are going to do an enchilada casserole. I have quite a bit of new recipes this month I'm trying. I want to get some new recipes under my belt, some new casseroles and some new soups, just to mix it up a little bit. We're going to do a pulled chicken and gravy. This is not a new recipe for me. I love this meal. My kids love this meal. It's very simple. I do plan on filming some crock-pot meals for you guys this month, and most of these soups, sorry, there's a hawk flying, it's just gorgeous, but some soups and some crock-pot meals, at least some of those videos coming up over the next month. I don't know if those videos will go up in September or if they will go up in October. We're just going to see how, when I cook these meals is when I'm going to be able to film them. So that's how that's going to go. We're going to do sloppy joes. I canned a lot of sloppy joe sauce last canning season. I have probably 30 pints still on my pantry shelf, so we're going to use that for some sloppy joes. I will make homemade hamburger buns, and we'll pair that with probably some french fries that I make from potatoes that we harvested together, and it'll be really delicious. We are also going to do a Frito pie. This is something I've never done before. I would say it's kind of a cross between a walking taco and like a chili that you put over Fritos. I think my kids will really like it. It's kind of similar to the Spanish rice meal that we're going to be doing, but it's going to be with Fritos. So we're going to see how that one goes. We are also going to do a cowboy stew. This is something that I had on my meal plan a lot last year, and I think we only did it once. But I would really like to give this meal a go, because I have a very similar recipe to the cowboy stew in my pressure canning cookbook, and I would like to at least see if my family likes a version of that before I go ahead and pressure can a couple of quarts and get them on the pantry shelf. So that's my thinking with that meal. Every Friday, we always do some sort of a take on a homemade pizza, whether that actually be homemade pizza or a stromboli or a calzone or something like that. And we started this tradition back in 2020, I think, and the kids really like it, especially during the school year. Fridays are the days I deep clean my house and try to get all of my housework done and just get caught up that way. You know, a lot of people do a Sunday reset. I tend to do a Friday reset. That way, heading into the weekend, I feel personally, this is something that I do for me as a mom, I feel much more relaxed in the weekend knowing that my house is clean, it's picked up, it's deep cleaned, all my bathrooms are scrubbed, most of my laundry's caught up on. I feel like I can relax and enjoy my family and enjoy my kids, and I don't have to worry about wanting to go out and do activities with the kids and then still thinking, well, I have to come home on Sunday and I have to schedule this amount of time on Sunday to be able to clean the house or whatever before heading into a new week. So I like to do it on Fridays, and then Sunday nights it takes our family maybe 30 minutes to do a really quick pickup from the weekend, and we head into the week with a clean house. That way we don't have to spend a couple of hours doing it on Sunday. We can just focus on family activities. But that being said, I like homemade pizzas because the kids come home off the bus, the house is clean, I can have doughs already ready to go. I'll have all of the ingredients laid out, and the second they get off the bus, they run in, they hop up on the island around the kitchen, and they're all making their pizzas. We can put them in the oven, and by the time my husband's walking in, all of the pizzas are done, and it's just a big pizza buffet. It's a tradition that the kids love and they look forward to. They wake up on Friday mornings and they go, it's pizza day, and they get super excited. So it's something we continue doing. There are 5 Fridays in September, so we're gonna do that 5 times. We are also gonna do a creamy sausage pasta. I found this on Pinterest a couple of months ago. It's really delicious. My kids really like it, and it's very easy. So we're gonna go ahead and do that again. We are also going to do meatball subs. This is something that I made on a whim like last weekend, and my kids looked at me and go, Mom, why don't we do this more? So we're gonna do more meatball subs. We're gonna do barbecue pork steaks. I have a lot of pork steaks in my freezers because we buy our pigs locally here. I have a couple cuts that I just don't have a lot of recipes for yet. We've only been buying whole pigs for about a year or two, so there are some cuts I'm just not as familiar with. One of those is a pork steak. I have 1 or 2 recipes for it, but I want to get something else under my belt because I think pork steaks are probably our least used cut of the pig. We do a lot of pork chops and things like that, and pork steaks are very similar, but I wanted to get some new recipes under my belt, so I went to good old Pinterest and typed in pork steak recipes. Very simple, very easy. I found this barbecue one, and it is also for the crock pot, which I think will be really good for me. An easy meal, a kind of dump and go meal, and we're gonna see how that goes. I also think this would be really good for like a football game weekend. Put in the pork steak in the crock pot instead of ribs or something, and barbecue sauce, do some potatoes, or I don't know, I think it'll be good. So I'm gonna wing the sides for that one, but that is gonna be the main dish for that. I also have lots of barbecue sauce that I canned last year, so that'll be great as well. You cannot go wrong with good old burgers, so we're gonna do plain old burgers. We are also going to do a beef and rice pilaf. This is another new recipe for me. I kind of realized over the last couple of weeks that rice is probably our least used starch. So I kind of wanted to get some new rice recipes under my belt just to kind of mix up our starches a little bit. So we're going to do that beef and rice pilaf. I think it looked pretty good. We're going to do a potato soup. Not something new to us, but my kids really like it. And I figured if I had any leftover pork from another meal, I could just save it and set it aside, and we can pull some of that extra pork into our potato soup, and it'll be really delicious. So we're gonna do that. We are also gonna do a chicken, broccoli, and rice bake. I realized that we haven't done this in a very long time. I've had it on meal plans before, like recently, but it's just one of those meals that kind of gets skipped over. Really great budget meal. I have absolutely everything for it. I'm not gonna have to buy anything, so in my eyes it's a free meal, and I wanted to get that on the meal. I'm also gonna do a $1 million chicken bake. I have done this in the past. It is very delicious. The kids really like it, and we're gonna do it again. It's also a very quick meal, which is nice. So this would be another one where if I know I'm going to be alone because my husband's gone, I can kind of get this prepped maybe in the baby's nap time and wait to kind of turn everything on until it gets a little bit closer to supper time, turn it all on, let it go, and it'll be really nice. So I like meals like that a lot, especially if I know I have a busy night ahead of me. If I know we're gonna have school projects that we need to work on or school activities we need to run to or something like that, this is something that I can prep in a casserole dish, cover it with tin foil, and just kind of put it in the fridge, wait until 4-ish or 5-ish, whenever you want to eat, and just kind of throw it in the oven, and it'll be really great. We're also gonna do tostadas. I don't know if we've ever done tostadas here, but we're gonna give it a go and see how the kids like it. The very last meal is going to be a leftovers day, just because I know that we're doing a lot of soups and a lot of casseroles. How we typically will do leftovers in our house personally is we will do leftovers for lunch. That way I don't really have to worry about lunches very often. When you want to cook from scratch a lot, it can be really nice to have one meal during the day where you can just heat things up and have leftovers. It's very convenient. However, I know personally that if we're doing a casserole and then the next day we're doing a soup and then maybe the next day we're doing, I don't know, something. Maybe it's just an easy dinner one night. It can get to the point where I have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this. And when I notice my fridge starting to get really full of leftovers that for whatever reason aren't being eaten, I will not cook dinner and I just pull out all of my leftovers, and we call it a leftover buffet. I like to talk about it, and every time I talk about it I get lots of comments saying I definitely need to do that, or what a good idea, or something like that. So typically what I will do is I'll pull out all my leftovers. You have half a casserole or 3 cups of rice, whatever is in your fridge, pull it out, put it out on the counter. I have my kids come down their plate like a buffet line. We load up their plates, I heat up their plates, and usually if I'm doing a leftover buffet, I'll make sure that I'm making something fresh, whether that be buns or a loaf of bread or maybe a side salad. So there's something new, there's something fresh, but we're just gonna eat through all of the leftovers and get through as many leftovers as we can, and that's what I'm doing. Because I know we're going to be having a lot of heavier meals, which happens in the winter, sometimes leftovers can sit a little bit longer than I want them to, and instead of having them go bad, I want to make sure we're using them. So I'm going to plan for a leftovers buffet, and if for whatever reason we don't end up needing it, I can always throw something together out of my pantry, whether that be a thing of spaghetti or a lasagna, making homemade pasta or something like that to get us through that last day, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. So that being said, that is my September meal plan for my large family of 6, trying to be budget friendly, cooking from scratch, utilizing what's coming out of the garden and whatever else we end up having coming off of the property here on the homestead, or fishing trips, things like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope wherever you are, you're having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys later. My thoughts, and when I start to think, oh, the how close it starts to end up on the bridge.